Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Juliet and today I'm going to be working on this drawing of a frog and tarantula using colored pencils. For this drawing, I had a little bit of a different approach than what I normally do with the way that I colored it in. Typically, I do a mixture of like vertical and horizontal strokes whenever I'm coloring things in, and I'll kind of build things up that way. But I've seen a few other artists that I really like to follow do more of a vertical only type of coloring, and I really loved the way that looks. I've always been a little bit intimidated to do it just because of how I kind of think about laying my colors down is just a little bit different, and it was definitely something to get used to when I was doing this drawing. Just the way that they kind of layer on top of each other was different for me, obviously, because, I'm only going in one direction. But that was really cool to learn. I really liked doing this. I think it turned out, honestly, like I'm very, very proud of this. I'm not gonna lie to you. So this was really cool for me, definitely a win. And I've been getting pretty frustrated with the colored pencils, so this was like a nice little breath of just like, oh, guess I can actually like do something that I am proud of. So that's cool. But I actually did this drawing because I recently watched a video about these tarantulas that live with frogs, and I thought that was the cutest thing ever. I know a lot of people don't really like spiders. That is not me at all. I think spiders are the cutest thing in the world. I actually have a pet jumping spider that I've had for probably like 6 months now. I don't have a name for the spider just because I'm not sure if it's a boy or a girl. But he or she is a pretty chill little guy, if I will say. And I really loved setting up the enclosure for my jumping spider because I got to make some little like hides and things that they can jump around on. And I had a lot of fun like decorating the space for them. I've always wanted a tarantula, but I'm honestly not super experienced with owning spiders. I love spiders, but I don't really know what kind of tarantula would be good for a beginner. So if I ever get one, it's definitely something that I would do a lot of research into beforehand. But yeah, if you like spiders, let me know because I feel like a weirdo. Everyone always makes fun of me for how much I like them. But yeah, I thought that this was a really fun thing to draw. But I will say, after kind of looking at the drawing after I'd finished it, I do feel like the position that I chose to put them in was a little bit, looks like the tarantula is actually hunting the frog. So I think I may redraw this one at some point and put them in more of a friendly pose just because I don't know, it just seems a little bit menacing the way that I have them positioned. I don't know if that's just me, but yeah, this was really cool. I really, really loved how many colors I was able to put in with this method. I feel like normally, and I don't know if this is actually the case or if it's just that I was like really warmed up when I was drawing this, but I sometimes feel like when I use the colored pencils, my colors just get really muddy if I try to go like super colorful with it. And I don't know if that was doing the different like stroke pattern for like the coloring itself that made this less of a thing. But I really, really loved that it kind of kept its vibrancy. And I don't know if that's also the pastel colored pencils that I have now being just, easier to layer because they're not as like saturated. But this was really cool. I really, really loved the way that it turned out. And I love the frog, but honestly, you'll see in a little bit, I like am so beyond happy with the way the tarantula turned out. I wasn't really sure what kind of color scheme I was going to do when I started it because I haven't really drawn a lot of spiders despite how much I like them. Or at least I haven't really drawn a lot of them in this kind of like more simplified style. I've done more like realistic or like I've done a couple like American traditional type spiders before, but this was kind of like a first for doing a very like cutesy-fied version, and it was really cool. I also had these you'll see in the background I kind of erased them, but I couldn't really get them to go away fully, but I was originally going to put some like mushrooms in the background as well, but it kind of looked weird. I feel like it was a very like wide composition and I was not really going for that. I kind of wanted it to fit on the page a little bit differently. So again, probably going to redraw that and do like a couple different positionings for it. But other than that, everything so far so good. But anyways, for the actual drawing, I was kind of switching around a lot, so it was kind of hard to film this in kind of more of like a tutorial type way, which I sometimes kind of think I'm gonna do, but I feel like you're watching it, so like obviously you can see what I'm doing. So if you have any questions about like my method or how I'm picking colors, definitely ask me. If you want to see more like tutorial type videos, I have no problem doing that. I just, like I said, it's kind of just like, I don't know, unless I have a limited color palette, it's kind of jumping around quite a bit with the colors I've chosen. So I feel like that's just a little chaotic to watch. But yeah, I was really just trying to build up. I knew that I wanted it to be pretty colorful at this point, just because I was really loving the way that it kind of had like an iridescent effect. So yeah, I was really just like jumping back and forth. I threw some neon colors in here. I have a neon pink and a neon orange that I really like to use from the Prismacolor pencils that I have. And they're really the only two in that pack that I gravitate towards. There's a couple other ones. It's like a small, I think like 20 pencil pack. There's a couple other ones that I really like in there, like occasionally, but the neon orange and the neon pink, love the neon pink. It's very, very vibrant. And I just feel like sometimes when you have a picture, having like a little bit of a warm, like glowiness to it can really like, I don't know, like bring up the vibe a bit. So that's something that I like to add. I actually started with that neon orange for this tarantula here, and I knew that I wanted to have some kind of like lighting source from like the underneath kind of vibe, like I guess a little bit of like an underlit kind of like warm glowiness to this tarantula. So I started with that, and then I wasn't quite sure what color to do as like my main color here. So I did kind of bounce around a lot, and I really ended up liking like a combination of some browns and purple tones. So I did put quite a bit of like a lavender and like lighter shades throughout, and then really just worked on like building up the contrast for the spider. I knew that I really needed to have some like good dark spots to really have that like brighter neon color come in. And I don't know if you can hear my cat in the background, but that's distracting me. So, anyways, back to the video. What am I even talking about? Okay. Yes, so I was doing purple colors at this point, decent bit, and then I kind of switched back into doing like some of the neon colors later on and like layering it up again. So again, like really just I kind of bounce around a lot. It's kind of hard to like describe what's happening, but this is the neon orange that I like to use. I would love to get some more Prismacolor pencils because I had them like when I was younger. That was almost like all I used, and I didn't like how hard they were. But this specific pack is the Prismacolor Premier pencils, and I really actually do like how they layer. They're pretty smooth, but they're not so soft that I feel like they're just gonna like get eaten up by the paper. But yeah, and I did a combo of the Holbeins and my Faber-Castells for this. It's usually kind of the two that I use the most of. And this was the first drawing that I've done, I think maybe for like a couple months at least, that I didn't do colored or my hoo-hoos as the base. So that was really cool. I really liked being able to do like the whole thing in just the colored pencil. I feel like that's like a huge achievement for me, especially in like trying to get better at it. So that was definitely a confidence builder. And I've also actually just gotten back into a hobby that I haven't done in honestly like a year probably, but I just recently started doing some polymer clay again, which has been cool but also really frustrating. As you heard earlier, I have cats in my art room, so it's pretty hard to get like no hair on my clay when I'm working, and I get really frustrated if it's not like perfect every single time. And I'm just not there yet with polymer clay, so it's going to take me a lot more practice to kind of get where I want to be with it. But I just recently made some really cool lighter cases that I'm very proud of, and I would like to probably sell at some point. So I'm thinking about putting up like an Etsy shop, and I will maybe link that in one of the next videos if anyone wants to check it out. and maybe get something from me. That'd be super cool. Or if there's anything that anybody thinks would be fun to make or that you'd be interested in supporting or buying, I am open to ideas because that's completely new to me. I've never really sold anything on the internet like that before. I do have a shop now for some like t-shirts and like a couple little like digital designs that I've done, but I'd like to really start building on that and adding more of my drawings that I'm actually doing in the videos here. So if any of these are something that you think would be like a cool sticker, let me know because I'm really trying to grow that for sure. But yeah, is there any like hobbies that any of you have been picking up recently that you haven't done in a while? Because I would love to hear about it. I feel like I am constantly just kind of bouncing around from hobby to hobby. I don't know if that's like my ADHD or what, but I tend to pick something up and like really be obsessed with it for a while and then I like pack it away and I'm like, okay, now I have Rufus, that's kind of ridiculous that you would do that in the middle of me recording. I don't know if you can hear my cat playing with his toy, but that's crazy. Okay, hold on. I gotta quiet that. Hold on. Anyways, as I was saying, whenever I get into a new hobby, I always buy every single thing for that hobby. And I've been trying to really like be on top of myself about that lately where I'm like, do you really want this? Is this something that you really, really want to do? Just because I'm trying not to like buy things just for the sake of buying it. And I've been really, really like on myself about using all of the art supplies that I have. So I've been trying to get things out that I haven't like touched in months and, you know, really trying to keep myself to task with that. And it's been going great and I've been really enjoying it. I've now started to go through and line a little bit of the tarantula just because I was having a really hard time kind of seeing like the values that I had. I don't know if it was just because it's all like very like blurry, fuzzy looking with this like up and down strokes that I did. It was just hard for me to kind of tell what needed to be darker. And after I lined it, I actually really liked the way that the lightness was. So I kind of kept it a little bit more diffused and I didn't really go in and like sharpen anything up super crazy. And then I erased the sections that I knew that I wanted to put the eyeballs in just to make sure that the black would really like adhere to the paper. So I went in actually with my mechanical eraser, which is really nice at like lifting a lot of pigment, especially if it's like colored pencils. Sometimes it's hard to get like a precision with the eraser, and I really like to use the not mechanical, electric eraser. Yes. But that one is really helpful for getting a lot of pigment lifted off the paper. And then I went around initially with this black pencil and put in some of these hairs on the tarantula, but I didn't really like how harsh that looked, so I actually switched to that kind of like cranberry red color that I used to line with. And I did actually go over some of the black afterwards just to lighten it a little bit because it was just a little too harsh. And then for highlights, the only section that I even put highlights on this time was just the eyes. I just wanted to make sure it had like a little bit of like sparkle in there. I feel like spider's eyes are always very like big voids is like the vibe that I was going for. And then I just darkened up a last couple things on the frog and a couple little sections just to make sure that my shadows were like pretty pronounced. But yeah, that concludes the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next week.